Today I'm so excited because we're going to make donuts. It's filled with jam and cream and covered in cinnamon sugar. What could be better? The only issue I have is I'm at home by myself and there's no one to share them with, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all of these donuts. But no matter, it is fairly simple and you can do it without a stand mixer. You just will have to knead it by hand, so be prepared for that. So let's just get started. So I've got all my stuff out and ready. There's not much needed for this dough, but as usual, if you'd like to see the full recipe with the breakdowns, it's on my website, messiejessie.co.nz, and also on there I have a little shop section which shows you my most used baking tools if you're looking to get anything you need for the kitchen. So we're going to need some flour, sugar, I'm using caster sugar, it dissolves easier, milk, butter, yeast and salt. So this recipe starts off in a pot on the stove, so we'll just go over there now. Okay, so when that's all melted, test it with your finger to see the temperature. In this case, mine is too hot, so it should be lukewarm, as in tepid water kind of feel. So this is too hot, so I'm going to put it into a glass bowl so it chills down a little bit quicker. So I've just checked the butter and it is feeling lukewarm, so I'm going to add the yeast now. But it's very important that you check the expiry date of your yeast. So don't be using anything that's been sitting in the cupboard for 2 years, because it won't activate and then your dough's not going to rise and you're not going to be able to make donuts. So now we're going to leave that to sit for about 10 or 15 minutes until it starts to look a little bit bubbly. Okay, so while that is activating, I'm going to measure out my flour. So into your bowl of your stand mixer, or just a bowl if you're not using a stand mixer, we need 465 grams of flour. So I've got my bowl on a scale here. And we also need 10 grams of salt. Okay, you can see my butter mixture is nice and bubbly and activated, so we're going to put that into the flour now. Okay, we've got a beautiful soft dough, it's not sticky at all, and now I'm just going to leave this in the bowl. I'm just going to put a tea towel over top and leave it for at least 1 hour. So this is where you could do it the night before and just leave it out on the bench, but I'd say minimum 1 hour to get a nice fluffy dough. Yay! So our dough has doubled in size and it's nice and soft and squishy. So now we can roll it out. Alright, so I've just cleaned my bench and I'm going to dust it with a bit of flour and also put that on my rolling pin. And I'm literally going to just dump my dough out. Give it a helping hand. Here we go. So just give it a little coating so it doesn't stick. So just keep moving it around so it doesn't stick. and you want it about 1 centimeter thick. So I've just got some parchment here that I'm going to put my cut donuts onto. Now I need some shapes. So for a circle, I'm just going to use a cup. This is a really good size for when you're frying at home, because I'm just going to do it in quite a small pot so that I don't use too much oil. But if you have cookie cutters or whatever, you can use those. But cup's really easy, so just make sure it goes all the way through. Then I'll just pop it there and I'll cut the hole out in a minute. So I'll do a few of those. So to cut out my little donut holes, I'm just using a piping nozzle. If you don't have one of these, what I've used in the past is just like a bottle cap. So if you take the cap off your olive oil or something, just give it a wipe, and that's a pretty good size to use. So just pop it on in the middle and twist it a few times, and then you can pop out your little donut hole. And I'm going to cook those. They're a nice little taster for the chef. So we've got 4 nice ring-shaped donuts and some donut holes, and I'm going to make the rectangular ones now. So I've got a bench scraper, but just use a knife if you want. Obviously, if you're on a marble countertop like me, make sure it's okay. But I'm just going to chop this up into kind of oblongs. So this is probably, I don't know, about 15 centimeters long, and you just want to keep in mind the size of the pot you're going to use, because even though this might fit into your pot, it is going to expand quite a bit, so you want to make sure there's enough room for frying. So just maybe do a little check of the pot you're going to use first. So with the leftovers you can re-roll, but you can see I've got quite a lot of flour on here from rolling, and if I re-roll all of this together, it's going to be quite a dense kind of dry dough. So either kind of you can get a pastry brush, which I am going to use to dust off the excess dough off of these ones, so it really gets it off nicely. Otherwise, just cook up these scraggly bits. They taste just the same, they just don't look as perfect, and they're nice little testers for you and your buddies in the kitchen. So I've got all my little dough babies here, and like I said, I'm just going to brush off the excess flour so that they don't get all gritty when we fry them up. Right, so I'm going to leave these to sit for about 20 minutes just so they can get a little bit of extra rise. And in the meantime, I'm going to fill up my pot with some oil. So you want a neutral oil, and by that I mean one that doesn't have any flavor. So don't be using olive oil, because you don't want donuts that taste like olives. So something like a rice bran oil or vegetable oil is what you want to use. So a few things going on here. We've got our oil. I'm using rice bran oil, and you need it about 3 centimeters deep so that the donuts have enough room to puff up. Then I've got my donuts waiting. I've got some cinnamon sugar. So that's about a cup of sugar with a tablespoon of cinnamon mixed through. And just a tray here with some paper towel to drain the donuts on afterwards. So it is a lot of oil, guys. Donuts are deep fried. It's not for an everyday treat, but I've used about just almost a litre in this pot here. Right, I'm going to put in a couple of testers. So it can take a while to get your heat right. I'm working on gas, which means it gets very hot, but it's okay to control the temperature. If you've got an electric oven, it can be quite tricky. So doing these testers is really important to get the temperature right. But just remember, when you start doing the bigger donuts, they will take longer. So if it starts to get golden too quickly, turn it down so that it doesn't burn before the inside is cooked. Okay, it's very hot, but I'm just checking it's cooked through. Whew. Beautiful. So I can start putting some big ones in now. So if you're doing cinnamon sugar, you want to do them pretty quick out of the fryer so that the sugar can stick to the oil that's left on the donut. Yum! Okay, look at all my beautiful babies. So I made one ugly one, that's called a Kruger, I think, where you just mash all your extra bits together and make a big donut. So while these cool, I am going to whip up some cream and get some jam ready for my long donuts. Right, so I've got my whipped cream, I've got some jam that I just use plain frozen raspberries, and I just put them in the microwave for 30 seconds to make them liquid. But if you don't have any of those, you can just use some normal jam and just heat it up for 10 to 30 seconds to make it a bit more liquidy. And I'm going to put my cream into a piping bag just to make my long donuts pretty, but you don't have to do that. You could just spoon it in, or you could put it in a snap lock bag to pipe it out as well. So just take one of your donuts and slice it down the middle. It is important that they are not hot, otherwise your cream is literally going to melt into them. So just make sure you've let them cool a little bit. Alright, so once you've made your cut, you just pipe down the middle as much as you like, and then top it with some of your jam. Yum! Guys, beautiful homemade donuts. What could be better? Honestly, I would eat one for you on camera, but I've already eaten all the donut holes and I'm feeling rather full of donut, but you can trust me, they are delicious. Definitely make these for your family, for your friends. They will be so impressed. So like I said, all the ingredients in the recipe will be on my website, messiejessie.co.nz, and I'll see you next time.